Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final session, session 4 of the sea turtle, where we're going to finish the water. We're going to put on the last finishing touches, and at the end of this session, we will be done. And I do believe it's going to be less than 30 minutes, so yay for that. So one of the things that I'm going to use is a white pencil. I believe it's a Derwent white pencil, and we'll use the spray bottle a little bit more. So get all those ready to go. And here we go. All right, we're going to do the bottom right corner of the water. Again, I want it to go flow in a diagonal direction to contrast with the turtle, almost like making an X. And I like that contrast and the energy that it creates. So I'm going to put a bunch of water down here in the lower right quadrant, pretty drippy, so that when I tilt it up, it will drip. So unlike what I usually do when I put water on my paper, I am getting it drippy. Usually we don't want that, but in this instance, we want the actual properties of the water to do the work with gravity and create some rivulets that look really natural. All right, I'm just going to stay with the same colors that I used elsewhere in the water so it all hangs together well. Getting some cobalt blue here, putting it right there in the corner. Some French ultramarine there, putting it in the corner and holding my board at an angle. And I'm sorry, I didn't do a very good job showing this on the video, but I had the board tilted while I placed the paint so it would drip as I was holding it in an upright position so that it would flow to the other catty corner to create some movement. And then when I got this strong solid line, I just sprayed it to break it up, and I'll blot some of it that got on the turtle. No big deal. It's very easy to blot stuff up like this. Here I'm getting my PB17 paint, just adding to that, putting it in the very corner so that it's my corner is the darkest, and as it flows out towards the middle of the painting, it gets lighter. That's how I want mine. I feel like that makes a nice little framed in look. And I just keep spraying it to loosen up the edges, blotting when it goes over the turtle too much. Again, you see how I put the thickest paint down in the corner the most because I want the corner the darkest to create a vignette look. Getting the same colors I've been using, of course, permanent green light here and there as well. and let it all run into that rivulet of water I have going across the painting. Cleaning up my paint here real quick. Everything's a hot mess. That's my French ultramarine right there. It's got a little bit of red in it, and I'm okay with that because I've got a lot of purple in the turtle, so I think it balances out to have it also in the water. And it's really fun to watch these colors mixed together on the paper. Here I'm setting it up on my water jar, and I'm going to let it dry on a tilt. So it's tilted up, and I'll just leave it and let it dry with one corner on top of my water jar. This is my arch nemesis area of this painting. It's like, I want that light triangle, but I want the darker color to show off that light flipper, his back left flipper. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm using some PB17, making sure to leave a white sparkly edge along that back flipper. Put a little bit of green in there to make it more interesting. You can redefine some of these marks if you want to. I would hesitate to do that until you've got it pretty close to done to see what it needs. But I decided to put another thin glaze of transparent pyrrole orange to pop some of his scales, painting that about watery milk consistency on dry paper on top of the scales to add more pop to some of them. Same here, just painting on dry paper. to build up some color and complexity in some of these scales. Remember, the flipper should be darker, more pure color, closer to the viewer. So that's why I made them darker on that long flipper that I'm working on now. I made them darker at the edge of the painting where the flipper is closer to the viewer. Putting some hot pink, just a little bit. I don't want to overdo it. This is Holbein Opera, of course. This is my lamp black. I'm going to put a little pop of dark in part of the eye, just a little bit. Just defining the mouth. The head is the most important part of this painting, the way that I painted it. So I'm making sure to get my darks dark in this area. This is where I want the most detail, is on the head. Getting a thinner rigger. This is a rigger or a script brush. Getting some lamp black. I'm just going to put a little bit of tiny little millimeter thin, hair thin details in the eye area where I can find a place to put them, to tell the viewer's eye, hey, look, the detail's here. This is where I want you to look. Look closely at your reference for ideas of where you can put these little details. Your reference will tell you. Popping some of these scales in the head area, because again, I want them to be the darkest scales anywhere. because I want them to call attention to this area. So the hardest edges, the darkest darks, the lightest lights are all on the head. All right, this is my Derwent Drawing Chinese White pencil. And if I forget to link it, please remind me. But I'm using this to refine some of the white in between these dark markings to really pop them. I wanted it to look natural, so that's why I didn't reach for my Kuretake white ink this time, which is really extreme white. Just adding a few little highlights where the wrinkles might be. Just adding a little bit of definition to this flipper. Putting back in some of these light lines of markings that are in between the scales or the shell parts. I don't know what they're called, the sections. But I just wanted to give a little bit definition here and there to the sections. All right, next we're going to take off the tape. I'm going to use a hair dryer, but just so you know, I'm still going to add some more details. I'm going to add some splatters and some bubbles. But here I'm signing with my script brush with red down in the lower right corner. And then we'll take off the masking tape, and just know if you use a Stonehenge hot press, it will tear. So I'm carefully using my hairdryer to soften the tape so that it doesn't tear my paper. And for the most part, I didn't get too many tears. I got a little bit, but stay tuned. I'm going to do a little bit more spatter, a little bit of white Kuretake white ink spatter too, to insinuate bubbles. So here I'm just getting a bunch of cobalt blue. I'm going to get it really watery. I'm going to shake off my brush to get the first little splatters off so I don't get too big of splats. And you don't want to overdo this. I just want enough to add a texture variety that I don't have yet. And water is a great place to have spatter. You just don't want too much, but just something as a counterpoint to the other textures I have. And this just kind of breaks up everything a little bit. All right, now I'm going to get my, oh, you know what? I used ground. I couldn't find my Kuretake white ink. I have some that hasn't been opened, but I didn't want to open a new one. And I thought it would be fun to try something different. This is Daniel Smith white ground. If you don't have this, I wouldn't buy this just for this reason. Usually you use ground to paint over a ruined area so you can repaint on it. And so that's what this is for. But I'm going to add some water to it and use it for spatter and see how I like it. So I'm just getting plenty of water mixed into this white ground. It's by Daniel Smith. It's supposed to be this thing that you can paint on like wood or plastic or anything. And then when it dries and cures, you can paint on it like cold press paper. So that's yet another fun experiment to try someday. But I'm just splattering some white ink, especially in the, or white ground, just here and there. I don't want to overdo it. To insinuate a few bubbles in the water. You don't need too much. And that is about it for this painting. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I myself am painting another turtle right now. I'm not really happy with it, to be honest, but I'm trying some new ideas. I might paint it a 5th time. I'm really determined. But anyway, I can't wait to see what you guys do with this. Be sure to post your paintings in my Facebook group. I do have a private one just for paid Patreon subscribers. If you message me, I'll send you a link to that. I'm no longer able to create links for you to just click on, which is really annoying. I also have my other Facebook group that is private. Only the members can see inside the group, but it is also free and public. Like anyone in the public can join if they are watercolor painters and want to share. And I have a lot more people posting there. It's a lot more active group. So that's at facebook.com/groups/Rachel's Watercolor Workshop. So be sure to join me there. And until next time, go watercolor your world. Bye, everybody.